If you've seen Into the Spider-Verse, then you're familiar with the Prowler, Aaron Davis, Miles Morales' shady uncle. But did you know Aaron Davis was not the original Prowler in the mainline Marvel Comics? No, originally the Prowler was an entirely different person with a different design altogether. The character was for a long time forgotten. Fans didn't really talk about him, at least I never heard about this guy. He didn't show up in any of the cartoons or video games, and when Prowler finally did make it into another book, he became a different character entirely. I recently read The Night of the Prowler for the first time, and I was surprised by just how good it is. It instantly became one of my favorite Spider-Man stories, and nobody ever told me just how good this story is. I want to pay my respects to the original Prowler, and hopefully I can convince others to check out these two issues, as I believe they are absolutely well worth reading for any Spider-Man fan. Prowler originally first appeared in a two-part storyline in Amazing Spider-Man 78 and issue 79 by writer Stan Lee and artist John Romita Sr. The story is unique as the story is split between two point of views, our usual Peter Parker and Hobby Brown, a 20-year-old window cleaner. If the name Hobby Brown sounds familiar to you, it's because Hobby Brown is reused as Spider-Punk in Across the Spider-Verse, a nice little consolation prize for Aaron stealing Hobby's identity. And as you'll see, it's quite a fitting rework of the character. Hobby has great ambitions, he's good at inventing things, so he tries to sell his ideas forward, but he is dismissed without being given a proper chance. Girlfriend dumps him because she's tired of his self-pity. He gets yelled at by Jameson and he ends up quitting his lame job. Out of a job, out of a girl, out of money, Hobby has had enough. He takes his inventions and decides to use them to prove himself worthy of respect. He builds himself a wrist launcher that shoots gas pellets, he builds gloves that can stick to walls, and he creates himself a costume. People didn't give Hobby Brown their time, but they will not be able to ignore him once they see the Prowler. The other half of this story follows Peter. At this point, Peter's broke, his relationship with Gwen Stacy has been rocky, and Jameson has been hounding Spider-Man for years. All of this pressure is turning Peter angry. He's lashing out against other people. When he's harassed by these two thugs, Peter forgets to control his strength and just kind of swipes them away. As he puts it, if he had swung a little harder, no telling what might have happened. Both Hobby and Peter wear similar yellowish colors, or at least in the first issue. Peter's jacket magically changes colors between issues, but I'll just ignore that one. They both view the world with the same bright blue eyes, they're about the same age, they're both broke, they're both inventors, they are both dealt a frustrating hand and both tend to blame their luck for their own failures. Jameson gives them both a hard time, they both struggle with girls, and they both like to wallow in self-pity just a little bit too much. These parallels continue in Prowler's costume design, as it is designed as a dark reflection of Spider-Man. Prowler has Spider-Man's eyes, but they are more sinister with longer, sharper, and larger shadows. He has ominous-looking mouth that makes it look like he's hiding something, like fangs. His fingers have long, sharp claws. He's armed with weapons on his wrists and ankles. His main color is green, which is the opposite of Spider-Man's blue. Prowler looks intimidating. Until you look more closely. You'll notice his suit doesn't really fit him properly. It's loose. The Prowler symbol on his chest is large and awkward. It might be a bit of a stretch, but to me, the cape Prowler wears doesn't look majestic as it does on a character like Superman, or scary like Batman's, or even cool like Thor's. It looks kind of silly, like a blanket a child wears when they imitate heroes. It looks out of place, like an early Green Lantern design, but 30 years too late. John Romita Sr. does a fantastic job with Prowler's design. It looks great on a page, and it also reveals character. Hubby is just like Peter, just on the wrong road. A road even Peter is dangerously close to fall down on. These two characters are set on a crash course, as Peter heads to Daily Bugle to ask J. Jonah Jameson for money. And so does Hubby. Just instead of asking for money, he intends to rob the place. At the Bugle, the two men finally meet. They get into a fight, and Peter ends up falling out of a window. Hobby thinks he just got Peter killed. Hobby didn't want to hurt anyone. Hobby just needed the money. He's racked with guilt over this. possibly getting someone killed. This is a bit of an Uncle Ben moment for Hobby. Now he must decide what to do with all this guilt, just like Peter once did. In order to cope with it, Hobby falls deeper into the Prowler mentality. He decides to make up for his guilt by taking down Spider-Man. So he hunts down the bad guy of his story, but it goes down a little differently from Peter's. The Prowler loses and is unmasked. Here, these two men have one final conversation, where Hobby pours out his heart. Seeing someone very much like himself, Peter decides to let Hobby go, telling him to go back to his girlfriend and leave this silly costume nonsense behind. Hobby's character allows Peter a chance to confront himself and reflect on his own path, and maybe spare someone else from the hardships of costume life. We don't see what happens after this. Maybe Hobby's girlfriend will take him back, maybe not. Maybe Hobby will find fame and fortune, or maybe he will never make it. It doesn't really matter. But he can still live a good life, as it's in the people and the good we do that we find our happiness. You might not be rewarded for it, but it's still worth doing for your own sake. It's not about greatness or what you deserve. It's about doing right by yourself. And after this story, Peter mends his relationship with Gwen and begins to be a little less angry, less distrustful of the people around him. Two people from different walks of life needed each other to learn this one lesson. It's a simple story, but that's what makes it so good. Tell me what you think about Hobby and the storyline Night of the Prowler. I believe Hobby Brown is a fantastic character that deserves to be remembered as one of Stan Lee's best.